Director of the police fraud squad attacked by a lawyer. Catholic Church reiterates its stand on the death penalty. And government representatives respond to the boycott of classes.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
This is Thursday's news. Good evening and thanks for joining me. Director of the National Fraud and Anti-Corruption Directorate, Matthew Damaru, has sustained several stitches to his forehead after being assaulted by an angry lawyer. The incident happened inside his office this morning. The assailant was identified as Stanley Pocker, a lawyer by profession who currently works with the Police Internal Affairs Division at Badili Police Station. MTV's Quinton Alump has this story.
Mr. Damaru was assaulted by Stanley Pocker this morning at around 9:30 inside his office here in Konidobu. This unfortunate incident happened following Stanley Pocker's unsuccessful job application for a vacancy within the legal team of the National Fraud and Anti-Corruption Directorate. Chief Superintendent Damaru was taken to the St. Mary's Clinic in Boroko, where he received 12 stitches to a cut on his forehead. According to Mr. Damaru, the assailant entered his office and inquired on why his job application for a vacancy within the legal team of the directorate had been turned down. As Mr. Damaru responded by getting his particulars, the assailant hit him on the forehead with a paper tray.
I didn't notice him coming in because I was on the phone and writing something on the paper, and I got really surprised when he yelled at me and he said, "So you are the one who was stopping my applications?" And I said, "What application?" And I asked him, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Stanley Pocker."
No police officers were around the premises at the time of the attack. Chief Superintendent Damaru says Stanley Pocker has connections with lawyer Paul Paraka, and because the Paul Paraka case is still pending, they cannot entertain his application to prevent conflict of interest.
He's with the Internal Affairs. He's a lawyer, a graduate lawyer, and what happened was he applied for a legal officer's position at the National Fraud and Anti-Corruption Directorate. And I commented on his application. I said, with his connection with Paraka lawyers, as we are doing investigation with Paraka lawyers, and for his long-term bitterness against the fraud squad, he's not suitable to be a legal officer at National Fraud and Anti-Corruption. After he graduated from law school, he went for his work practice at the Paul Paraka lawyers. And even the Paul Paraka lawyers case, he has been appearing for him. And that's a connection.
A formal complaint was laid and police will investigate. Such incidents against members of the Fraud and Anti-Corruption Directorate is not new in PNG. Quinton Alomp, National EMTV News.
Australian Queen's Counsel Manuel Veritimos has encouraged upcoming lawyers to uphold their professional code of conduct in office. Mr. Veritimos revealed this in his presentation, Court Etiquette, at the University of Papua New Guinea yesterday. He said upcoming lawyers have to uphold their in-house protocols while presenting in court or deal with their clients in the best possible manner. MTV's Eric Harupma has more on this report.
Justice Collier making a commentary.
Mr. Manuel Veritimos QC announced to over 300 participants that lawyers' conduct is an important virtue in official conduct. He said there is not enough education in relation to court etiquette of practitioners, though too much focus on legal principles, and so the aspect of common courtesy and court etiquette has declined. However, his presentation encouraged lawyers to present themselves in the best possible manner while appearing in court or dealing with clients.
It assists by educating them in relation to basic principles and rules in relation to court etiquette, and therefore able to assist the court and their clients in the best possible manner.
This presentation also has a benefit of Justice Collier making a commentary on Mr. Veritimos' paper to get a perspective on the aspect of how judges may view the profession and their appearances in court.
These are very important people who have experience in the practice of law out there. We are bringing them on board, and we're trying to provide an interface between the practice as well as the theory that we are teaching at the law school, so that these young lawyers who are coming up and who are going to be graduating and going into the practice, they'll be looking at these kind of role models.
Dean of Law School Dr. Mange Matui said presentations by Mr. Varitimos, accompanied with Australian Judge Justice Collier, unveiled some of the fundamental cases that have not been written in the law books. He said through conferences and seminar presentations like these, students will be able to understand the formalities of upholding professional lawyers' conduct. Present at the ceremony include trainees at the Legal Training Institute, law students and lecturers, university community, and official guests.
That has been said by Varitimos and Justice Collier. Those are the rules that are existing in the real courthouse, but we don't have the luxury of time to go to the courthouse and really hear see and hear what they do in the courthouse, and so that's why the purpose of this seminar was to expose the students.
Eric Aruma, National EMTV News.
3 months since the disbanding of the National Capital District Reservists Unit, the unit will now work as a civilian unit. The unit was disbanded by Police Commissioner Jeffrey Vaki after 2 people were allegedly killed by police at Hanuabada village in Port Moresby. The announcement for this name change was made today by the Deputy City Manager, Hong Kia. The unit will be working under the same management, but under a new name and without police uniforms.
The NCDC Enforcement Unit will continue to carry out its roles and responsibilities, however, under a new name, Urban Safety Division. Deputy City Manager Ong Kiap today, when officially handing over the uniforms, asked for cooperation from the police hierarchy. Mr. Kiap said to date it is still not clear why the NCDC Reservist Unit was disbanded. However, that decision is accepted and the unit will move ahead as a civilian unit, putting into use the training received from the police department.
My appeal now to the relevant authorities, especially the police department, the Commissioner's Office, the DCP Operations, the ACP, NCD and Central, my appeal to them. We accept the disbanding of our reserve unit. For one reason or another, the reasoning behind the disbanding, we can't accept it. But we accept their decision. The reasoning behind is for themselves to now tell the public what the reason was.
The NCDC Urban Safety Unit will maintain law and order in the city, but only to an extent where they will not be able to exercise powers of commissioned police officers.
Uniforms. It will not have any police insignia on it. The unit is now changed from the NCDC Reserve Police Unit to NCDC Urban Safety Unit. We will go out there in the public on foot. We'll be doing foot beats in public places, shop fronts, bus stops, marketplaces, any place that is considered public. The NCDC Urban Safety Unit will be on foot beat. To this effect, we now officially request the Metropolitan Commander, Mr. Andy Bauer, to assist us in this operation.
Therefore, he is asking for cooperation from hierarchy in NCD Command to have an understanding with the Urban Safety Unit. Meanwhile, Mr. Kiap said the public is still waiting for the findings into the Hanuabada killings, and the silence is just deafening for relatives of those killed and the public in general. He was making reference to the Moana Pisimi case in Ley.
Innocent lives at Hanuabada have been lost, and we are going into the second month of its investigations, and nothing has come out clear. Given the incident in Ley, the Moana Pisimi incident, it happened in the night. But the investigation was done swiftly, just in 1 week, and the culprit was apprehended.
He said the Urban Safety Unit will perform its duties without fear or favor and asked police assistance in their operations. The unit will not use firearms, as all these were returned to the police department when it was disbanded. The unit will continue to enforce the Buai ban in the city. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
The week-long boycott at the National Polytechnic Institute in Leh has finally attracted government's attention. The Vice Education Minister, Gisuwat Sinuin, and Kabum MP, Bob Dadai, were given a walk-through at the institution before being given the petition. Mr. Sinuin announced today that the Prime Minister will be sending a team of inspectors to assess and evaluate the rundown state of the institution.
Gisuwat Sinuin and Bob Dadai were given a tour around the Polytech Institute this afternoon when responding to the boycott that began 8 days ago.
So how many of you are sleeping here? Four. It should be meant for two, but...
The two Moravian leaders have made it a personal responsibility to visit the institution and take on the petition to pass on to the Prime Minister. But the government's presence this afternoon hasn't moved the students from their stand. The student body have remained firm. The SRC president reinstated from his yesterday's comments that students won't return to class until they see work begun.
Think about your education. Your parents are spending money to send you here. Think about your parents and go back to classes.
Nasabos government asali money come. Na bibi no salu ke sign plus ati na senis. Bitana na psi class na bibi lo ke senis from that same class.
The Vice Education Minister is expected to deliver the petition to the Prime Minister tomorrow. He also announced today that Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has made a commitment to send a team of assessors to Polytech to evaluate the state of its infrastructures.
Talk me to finish. It's already in the hands of my government, and I'll take it on from there.
The boycott has now dragged into its 8th day as students refuse to go back to classes. They have demanded for maintenance work to be carried out on existing buildings that are slowly crumbling. They have also demanded for learning supplements like textbooks and computer labs that have been lacking for the past 10 years. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Leh.
Still on the boycott, the standoff has brought to light the crumbling state of infrastructures at the Polytechnic Institute. More than 200 female students continue to live in rundown dormitories. The petition presented on Tuesday highlights the deteriorating state of the institution, as such the female dormitories. MTV's Colin Baralai reports.
This is one of the female dormitories at Leh's Polytechnic Institute. It houses over 40 female students, but it is a structure that is slowly falling apart. Esther Matthew is a first-year business student. She lives here with 4 other female students. Their struggle is not only about studying hard to get good grades, but also to cope with the rundown state of their room.
Because no study, no study table room, no more than not bunk bed, because I sleep 4, 6 to a room, no fan, no.
Esther's room is an example of the poor state of living condition faced by students at the Polytechnic Institute. Much of their buildings look unsafe but are still being used. Inside the ablution blocks, the sinks are broken, the power switches are broken, and the walls are rotten. The rundown state of the dormitories have prompted a week-long boycott that seeks to attract administrative attentions into fixing the problem.
We're like 2 rooms, the small rooms, it only caters for 2 occupants. But right now we're having 4 to 5 occupants, which is not right. We are young adults.
Most of the buildings in the institution were built many years ago, but over the years, not much work have been carried out to make them fit to use. Now, the administration receives 100,000 kina per year as operational funds, but the administration says the money is not enough to cater for major maintenance work.
The funding has to come from our routine maintenance budget, plus, we need to pull source from other areas too.
Rundown infrastructures like these female dormitories highlights the reasons behind the current boycott. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Leh.
The Catholic Church maintains a firm stance against the death penalty, saying it has no place in PNG society and does not fight crime. This afternoon, General Secretary to the Catholic Bishops' Conference of PNG and the Solomon Islands, Father Victor Rauch, described value systems as the key to solving crime. His concern follows the PNG government's move to facilitate the penalty and yesterday's execution of 8 convicted drug traffickers in Indonesia, which included 2 Australians.
Father Victor claims the executions in Indonesia will encourage Papua New Guinea to exercise the penalty on 13 of its death row convicts.
And so Papua New Guinea government may think, hey, we are encouraged by the neighbor now, so we can go ahead with these 13 people on the death row. Now all the more, it is timely for the Catholic Church and on behalf of the other churches in the country, we want to affirm that death penalty is not the solution.
Although the PNG government reinstated the use of the death penalty in 2013, following numerous heinous killings and increasing crime rates, the infrastructure and execution methods are yet to be fully established. The Indonesian executions have once again incited debates on capital punishment in PNG as the government deliberates on its implementation.
We are lobbying also that it can go to the parliament. So hope we can take that section out.
Constitution on section that has death penalty. They're trying to do away with that one. They want to come up with something, so we will be ready to assist our Caritas personnel when they try to do that.
Although countries like Indonesia and America that enshrine the death penalty in their constitution, Father Victor says the laws of their land must be respected by everyone.
I am not sanctifying those people who committed the crime and they went to the death row. No, they are crimes. They are criminals, no doubt about that. So we have to follow the law.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill issued a general statement this afternoon warning individuals involved in drug crime to think again or ruin the rest of their lives. Mr. O'Neill further mentioned that anyone considering transporting illegal drugs must be prepared for the consequences, and these consequences are serious.
Well, efforts are being made to medevac an elderly woman injured in the Manus accident and a multi-purpose forest inventory project. I'll bring you those stories and more after the break. Stay with us. Good to have you back with the news. A woman who recently sustained serious injuries from a car accident in Lorengau has fallen into a coma. As per doctor's advice, the woman's family is working around the clock to secure funding to have her medevac to Port Moresby General Hospital for intensive medical attention. Medical reports state 60-year-old Teresa Victor fell into a coma on Tuesday evening when her brain began to suffer swelling from the impact of her fall when the vehicle she was traveling in overturned. Teresa's badly crushed right leg is yet to be amputated. However, since falling into a coma, the procedure cannot be done at the Lorengau General Hospital due to lack of the necessary life support equipment at the operating theatre. The accident is said to be caused by the poor road conditions in Manus. A multi-purpose national forest inventory project is set to commence later this year by the PNG Forest Authority. The project is set to preserve, conserve and sustain PNG forests in the long term and also to know how much carbon it contains.
System that will allow us to participate.
A workshop was held today in Port Moresby by the Forest Authority to receive technical support from international partners, government and stakeholders to implement a multi-purpose National Forest Inventory or NFI project. The project is objected to contribute to the implementation of PNG's policies and measures for climate change mitigation. Its main purpose is to implement NFI continuously to support PNG FA as part of the National Forest Monitoring System that will fulfill its partners' request.
Forestry is a branch on which we are all sitting, on which also Papua New Guinea sits. And cutting this branch is something very bad. Whether somebody pays for not cutting it or not, it doesn't make a real difference, because it is simply good to keep an asset and treat it in a sustainable way that's still there tomorrow for everybody to enjoy, for everybody even to live in and to benefit from.
Papua New Guinea is the home to the third largest tropical rainforest in the world. Currently, it is well conserved. A recent study by PNG-FA, JICA and UN-RED showed that 80% of PNG is covered with forest. 60% of it is undisturbed. However, it is coming under increasing pressure of extraction through logging and also clearing for mining and agriculture. Despite this, its mysteries still remain scientifically unknown. Forest Minister Douglas Tomuriesa blames the Forest Authority for lacking in monitoring forest in the country.
I am reliably informed that nobody in PNG, including the PNG FA, regularly conducts any comprehensive national forest assessment to support policy formulation aimed at sustainable forest management, conservation, and sustainable land use, as well as for addressing climate change issues.
PNG has taken a global lead to combat climate change by getting to understand carbon reduction opportunity offered when preserving and sustainably managing tropical forest.
And across the board, everybody mentioned the lack of a reliable baseline data as a major impediment in carrying out their work in respective sectors.
The total funding of the project is 7.8 million euros. Once it started, foresters will be sent to the jungle to research more on biodiversity and measures to conserve forest. Bastinata Yama, National EMTV News.
The British High Commission has come to the aid of the PNG Defence Force Band. After 3 years of seeking assistance, the PNGDF was presented with a set of new instruments this afternoon. MTV's Bridget Komatep has this story.
The military band of the PNG Defence Force is part and parcel of the development agenda as it embarks on various capability platforms. In the presence of the British Deputy High Commissioner to PNG, Rebecca Brett, and PNG Defence Force Commander, Brigadier General Gilbert Oropo, the presentation was made. UK Defence Advisor to PNG, Commodore Richard Powell, said the British military were heavily involved in relief assistance in the region and the donation was only the start of more assistance from the UK Army to PNG. His counterpart, PNG Defence Force Commander Brigadier General Gilbert Oropo, was pleased that the assistance was timely given the fact that PNG has important events lined up. Since 2012, the Army band has been using old instruments which had deteriorated over time. However, the sight of the new ones has boosted the morale of the band members. PNG Defence Force Band Platoon Commander for Mari Barracks, Captain Nikki Aina, said there are two band groups within the PNG Defence Force, one at Mari Barracks and the other one is based at Moem Barracks in Wewak. In preparations for upcoming international events, they will combine practice sessions.
We're going to begin by next week, Monday. So we are looking forward to utilize these new instruments, and we train our new young recruits, and also as well as our old members, and all one is going to be part of our instructional team.
It's anticipated that by the time APEC is on, the PNG Defence Force will have a well-trained band to perform during the opening ceremony. Bridget Komatep, National EMTV News.
Northern Province recently staged the annual corporate forum in its provincial capital, Popondetta. The forum was organized by the National Department of Health with the theme of enhancing standards of budgeting through the new Integrated Financial Management System, commonly known as IFMS. Participants also witnessed the launch of the ELESCO payroll system for the Popondetta General Hospital.
The occasion began with the welcome ceremony at the Girua Airport in Popondetta. Traditional dancers welcomed the participants from the National Department of Health, who were from both the Highlands and Southern regions. During the forum, Ijivitari MP David Arore made a surprise appearance straight from the garden, where he harvested taros and brought 2 pigs for the guests. On a serious note, the corporate forum saw presentations on improving the standards of budgeting through the new Integrated Financial Management System, or IFMS. The IFMS team leader, William Maihau, explained that the IFMS is the financial management tool whose functions include accounting and budgeting. He said previously all financials were manually done. This meant that departments didn't know what their budget ceilings were before beginning their budget submissions.
So the system allows for departments to immediately receive the budget ceilings and then to begin the process of preparing the budget submissions.
Stakeholders from key government departments in the Northern Province commended the efficiency of IFMS and the improvements it would bring to the province.
The technology makes it very, very easy.
The system is here to empower you.
The delegation then launched the Alesco payroll system, which will enhance the financial management of the Popondetta General Hospital. Delhi Waigeno, National EMTV News.
And now we check out the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3715 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our kina was fetching $0.364, $0.4519 Australian dollars, $0.3233 euro and 42.9 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee and cocoa closed the day higher, while gold and copper closed lower, and palm oil and crude oil closed lower, while copper closed the day higher. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 75 points lower, the ASX closed at 58 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 55 points lower as well. You're watching National EMTV News tonight. We'll bring you stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to National EMTV News. Turning overseas now, extraordinary stories are emerging in the aftermath of Nepal's devastating 7.9 magnitude earthquake that struck over the weekend. The death toll has surpassed 5,000, although Nepal's Prime Minister says it may reach 10,000. Despite setbacks faced in aid distribution throughout affected areas, hope is still alive for those in need of rescuing as aid operations keep up work relentlessly against time.
Images emerged yesterday of a 4-month-old baby that was pulled from the rubble of a building 22 hours after the earthquake struck. While thousands of medical and rescue personnel have been flooding in from countless governments and donors worldwide, Nepal-based Unati Foundation, a non-for-profit organization for underprivileged children, has dispatched 18 girls to cook and serve rice and dal to 3,500 Nepalese in need. Meanwhile, yesterday, India's National Disaster Response Force intensified rescue efforts.
Until now, we have taken 10 bodies from this site. We are trying to take out 2 more bodies which are trapped under the debris. Yesterday, we took out 1 body, and on Monday, we took out 5 bodies from this site. Over 40 bodies are feared to be trapped under the debris of this 6-story building.
The UN launched a $415 million emergency appeal on Tuesday in response to the devastation. Despite the millions of dollars flowing in from around the world, the earthquake's total economic costs are estimated to be in the billions. Alana Lay, EMTV World News.
Nigeria's army has confirmed that 200 girls and 93 women were rescued from a Boko Haram occupied area yesterday. The military operations ended in the seizure of 3 camps occupied by Islamist militant group Boko Haram. Over 200 schoolgirls were kidnapped in April last year, sparking a global outcry and passionate campaign with the message, "Bring back our girls." An army spokesman later announced that the kidnapped schoolgirls were not among the rescued. Some of the girls sustained injuries, while some of the militants were killed. The BBC reports that over 15,000 people have been killed since 2012 as a result of the Boko Haram conflict. Well, Trukai Sports is coming up next, and we'll give you a preview of the test match between PNG and Fiji. Stay with us for all the details.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The PNG Kumuls will be heading into the Pacific Test match this weekend to compete against the Fijian Butties in Gold Coast, Australia. The Papua New Guinea Rugby League Board is confident with the final team heading into the clash. Most players from Kumuls have been selected from the Intrust Super Cup. MTV's Elijah Levitt has more on this report.
The SP Hunters program has set a high platform for rugby league in PNG. Most members of the Kumuls have been selected from the Intrust Super Cup, and PNG RFL chairman Sandy Saka is confident that the guys will do well this weekend.
Right now, with the boys having played together in a team environment consistently over a longer period of time, gives us the confidence that each of the boys knows how each of the boys plays. They know those little things that can win you footy games when push comes to shove and pressure football. So going into this weekend's match, we're pretty confident the Kumuls will do well and they'll do the country proud.
This year's lineup sees the absence of the majority of the 2013 World Cup outfits, such as forward Neville Costigan, Panthers hooker James Sigiaro, and Titans winger David Mead.
Costigan has come back from England. He's playing in the second tier Queensland Cup as well. I think, like we said last year, with a group of boys, we're looking at building up to the 2017 World Cup. So unfortunately, a couple of our senior players did not meet that long-term vision of building up our international team. Salted. I was asked if he wanted to play, and he made his choice. He chose to play for Queensland and Australia, and we respect the decision. David Mead was in the original 29-man squad, but he got announced in the New South Wales Cup, so he's made his choice. We respect that, and I can understand a lot of Papua New Guineans, the way we have the patience for a country.
The Kumuls are set to take on the Butties this weekend, followed by Samoa against Tonga. The winner of the respective test matches will play off in October for a spot in the Four Nations. Elijah Levitt, National MTV Sports.
Players' Code of Conduct has been a challenging issue across all sporting codes. Judiciaries and disciplinary boards have been set up to address players' behaviour both on and off the field. PNG RFL has taken a stern view on players' off-field conduct.
Off-field conduct have plagued the rugby league fraternity over the years. The NRL have taken drastic measures to discipline players for their off-field conducts, with players being referred to judicial boards and slapped with fines, match suspensions, and banned from respective sports for the degree of their conduct. In the second year in the Intrust Super Cup, and the SP PNG Hunters, like any rugby league team, are taking a stance in players' on and off the field conduct. Flying centre Noel Zemming and Lawrence Tu'u was slapped with match suspensions, respectively, for their code of conduct recently.
They won't put on notice that if we get repeat behavior of that side or anything again, they'll be let go.
PNG RFL is taking a stance of zero tolerance of all players' conduct and is adamant that such rules and regulations apply to weekend footballer as well as coaching of management staff.
Yeah, not only players. We expect the same standard that we apply to our players to apply to our staff and members of the board as well. We have strict code of conduct that all of us have signed to. We have a responsibility.
The Hunters management are firm on taking harsh penalties for any players off-field conduct. All players, regardless of the level of competition they play in, must uphold the rules and regulations of the game to build a strong rugby league culture in the country. Shane Soroya, National MTV Sports.
Well, day one of the SPX Sport PNG Golf Open commenced today at the Port Moresby Golf Club, featuring over 50 professional and amateur golfers from the Asia-Pacific region. The day began with a 5-under par of 66 from Australian Kevin Conlon, showing testament to the condition of the course. MTV's Jeremy Moggy with more.
Competition in this year's tournament is open, with last year's champion Caleb Richardson not part of the billet, along with runner-up Jared Pender. However, 2013 champion Peter Zwart, along with three-time Morabit Open winner Heath Reid, are on the cards.
7 past champions of the PNG Open in the field this week, so it's great to have those past 7 champions. But you've got other great players. You've got last week's Nepal Open winner in Daniel Nisbet teeing it up again, and of course 3-time Nepal Open winner Heath Reid playing. So we've got a really class field this week, and you only got to look at the scores that have been shot this morning that are really showing that class field.
Familiarity on the course also proving a benefit, with Ryan Lynch having a good round.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to come back here. Beautiful country, fantastic golf course, and it gets easier every time you come back. So good to see the course again.
Yeah, it certainly does. Those guys that have been here previously, they know what to expect. They know the conditions. They know the lie of the course. It's really going to assist those types of guys, or those guys, to I guess perform a little bit better than those guys that are up here for the first time.
Young up-and-coming golfers also given a chance at the big prize, with Brisbane-based Nicholas Rogers teeing up against a high-ranked Christopher Mewett.
For a young guy like Nick to be paired alongside Chris is something that he's going to hold close to him for a long time. Going to learn a lot of things, and hopefully he'll put those things into his golf game, and we'll see some good results not only from Nick this week but in the future as well.
Now, the Open also features PNG's own golfers in Margaret Lavaki, Shavina Maris and Brian Takiri, and they're using this as preparation for the Pacific Games in July. The competition ends on Sunday and has almost 300,000 kina up for grabs. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. We profile one of our ambassadors for the Pacific Games. Stay with us for all the details.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. Soccer star Alwyn Komalong has been juggling responsibilities as a Pacific Games ambassador and a lead prospect in the National Soccer League for the past year. Komalong has a wealth of international experience, having played college football in the United States of America. He has returned home to Madang to boost the morale of local NSL club Madang FC and for the opportunity to represent PNG at the Olympic Games.
Being a Games ambassador is not all glitz and glamour and the occasional chit-chat with the media. Alwyn says one of his responsibilities is giving an in-depth view and an insight into how the athletes are preparing for the Games.
Reviews, any media event that involves South Pacific Games, like the baton relay, which is now in Madang.
Alwyn's soccer success has been generated since birth. Straight out of high school, he'd won himself a scholarship in Kentucky in the USA.
That involves going to school and playing for the university at the same time. It's a bit like, well, actually like college basketball and gridiron and all that, except it's soccer.
With both a bit of international exposure and experience abroad, Alwyn makes for a perfect contribution to the PNG under-23 side as they prosper to win gold.
I took leave from the States to come and stake my claim in the national team here, mainly because we're playing on home soil, really just being able to pull on the shirt in front of your home crowd and the possibility of winning a gold medal.
While the team is yet to be finalized for the Pacific Games, quietly confident, Alwyn remains hopeful. Lorraine Genia, National, EMTV Sports.
The Puma Energy Pukpuk 7 squad, released and announced yesterday for the Pacific Games, has seen several new inclusions to the national team. The team is a gel of overseas and provincial-based players who have little to no experience playing at Pacific Games level. Assistant coach Douglas Geis has said while gold can be achieved at the Games, the team's primary focus in the remaining months will be setting the off-field processes straight and ensuring they are followed.
The expertise of the three overseas-based players, Jordan Chichenko, William and Timothy Wu from New Zealand, should spark a new flame with the team on their pursuit to gold at the Pacific Games.
But Saraha in at the corner for his second try.
While much of the team have yet to experience the level of competition in the Pacific Games, the more experienced bunch along the likes of David Airy, Butler Morris, Wesley Valley and Don Kais will surely lead the team in the right direction.
Just have to help them in we've been focusing on the simple things at training so far, like the three big things we're big on are being honest and fitness and having the right attitude to achieve something, and
Assistant coach Douglas Guys has seen the potential within the team to achieve outcomes and exceed expectations, as seen in their most recent campaign in Hong Kong.
Here they're looking to finish with a flourish. Away goes Wesley Varley. The genie's out to the bottle once again. Wesley Varley with a hat-trick.
What they have lacked in previous years is the processes and operations in place which have affected the team's on-field performance.
The team's probably the biggest challenge to try and get up and play at that level, especially against our Pacific neighbours who are stronger than us, and that's going to be a big, huge challenge for us. So we're focusing on them more so than anybody else. So that's a big thing.
Now, with the full 26-man squad in Port Moresby, a training camp will be facilitated at the IPA Institute leading up to July. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Well, that's a take on Trukai Sports tonight. I'll be back with the weather details for tonight and tomorrow. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, Popondetta to look forward to a shower or two. Showers expected in Alotau, Daru, Port Moresby and Karama. In Momase region, all the centres to look forward to showers. In the New Guinea Islands, a shower or two in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo and Buka, showers in Kimbe. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres brief showers, then morning fog. Forecast for small ships, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daro to Kiwai Island, Karama to Yule Island through to Hood Point, Samarai Island, eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas of 1.5 metres to 2.5 metres, waters of Samarai Island through to Cape Bogle to Finschhafen, including Vitia Strait, Siasi Islands through to Long Island, and waters of west of Long Island to Madang, to Bogia to Wewak, Aitape, Vanimore, and the northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 metres, waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.2 metres, and lastly, waters of New Ireland to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 metres. And looking at ocean forecasts for PNG areas, Coral Sea sees moderate to rather rough with southeast winds at 15 to 25 knots. Solomon Sea sees slight with east to southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea sees slight to moderate with southeast to southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. And Pacific Ocean sees slight with northeast to southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. A recap of our main headlines before we go tonight. Director of Police Fraud Squad attacked by a lawyer. Also, Catholic Church reiterates its stance on the death penalty, and the government representatives respond to the boycott of classes. Well, that wraps up today's bulletin. On behalf of the news crew, I'm Tokana Hasavi. As always, thanks for your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.